Welcome to City Skylines After Dark. This is something totally new for my channel. In the past I've always concentrated on Total War series. To give a background to why I'm doing this gameplay is I bought this game in the Steam Halloween sale about a month ago. Purely just out of curiosity. I've played city building games in the past, mainly SimCity. I thought, yeah, let's have a look. I've seen some pretty interesting videos on YouTube and comments about how good the game was, so I thought I'd just play it just to see it. And to be honest, I've really managed to get into it, and I've played quite a lot, probably a lot more hours than I should have. I should have been concentrating on other things, but here we are. We're here anyway, and I've decided that maybe it's time I did a gameplay on this. Now, before I get into some of the nuts and bolts of stuff and what I intend to accomplish, I'll start with a service announcement. I'm very aware that many of you out there don't like long introductions and long waffling, and you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of what's actually happening and what's building. So I'm going to include timestamps. So if you don't want to listen to this introduction and get straight into the map building side, just go to the description. There'll be a timestamp there. All my episodes will have timestamps in there with passing the introductions and marking any key events within the video that I feel that somebody might be worth looking at. Now, why am I doing this? Now, I I have been playing on several maps, really managed to get deeply into the game, and I started my habit of recording the gameplay just to see, so like if I made a change on the map I could see the consequences rather than trying to remember them, so I could go back and review it. I know it's a bit sad, but that's me. I like to know the effects I've done. So I've decided that, yeah, let's do a gameplay and build a city, but what I want to make very clear from the beginning, this is not going to be a gameplay that's going to involve, you say, trying to create the largest city with 1 million population or anything like this, or the most aesthetic city. The primary focus of this gameplay is going to be trying to explore the concepts of the game, trying things out, making mistakes, fixing them, and to this end I would like anyone's got any comments, opinions, suggestions, things that I want to look at. Feel free to add those to the comments to the video. I won't guarantee that you might get an immediate response, because I may need. One of the nature of this game is I might need to look for a situation that I can answer your questions with and all that. But that's the idea. And to this, in this theme, I've basically reinstalled the game completely, taken out all the mods. So there's only one mod left now, which is the first person camera mod, which I've kept deliberately because it can give some interesting views of the city. The same with the assets. I've removed all the assets because I want to start this gameplay as a completely a new player. So if anyone's out there has never played the game before, or you're completely new to the game, I'm not going to say it's going to be a tutorial series, but I intend to talk about the thought process, what I'm doing, and the consequence of things. And for this reason, that's why I'm going to start with a completely standard game. I will be adding mods and assets as I go along. In fact, there's a very good chance I might even do a couple of side episodes on the asset manager and the various tools here, like the map editor, but that's for the future. Now, before I get into selecting the map, there's one thing I want to point out is, if you do use the first person manager, whack the depth of field down very low, because if you don't, when you use it, especially if you go into the use it in the night mode, because this is Skylines After Dark, so there's going to be a night time in there, you're going to find that everything will look slightly blurry, out of focus. The other issue with the first person camera, and I will give a warning to people, anyone who doesn't like flash photography, that, and I will not try to avoid using the first person camera at night, because what actually happens is you get a flickering effect, and I must admit it has an effect on me, so we won't be using the first person camera very much at night. So that's a kind of another kind of service management. So let's get down to what we're going to do. So we're going to go for a new game. I'm from the UK, so it's going to be Left-Handed Traffic. The games I've played mainly so far have been down here. I've got a fairly big city going on Diamond Coast, and one of these other bottom ones I can't remember now offhand. But for this campaign, what I want to do is do one with the European theme. I've got no idea what map theme European actually means, so I want to try it out. I have played all 3 of these maps to the busy city level, or busy town level I think it is. So I've got a feel for the map, just because I wanted to choose the right map. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play Cliffside Bay. Now the reason for this is it's got all the natural resources. It's got quite a lot of farmland, which would be interesting. Water. Now the water is going to be very interesting in this map, as I'll explain once we get onto it. And that's primarily the reason I've chosen the map. Also, I've chosen a first starting name. It's Freshwater City. Now it will make sense. Bear with me. It will make sense once we get onto the map and you see things happening. So, but if someone else wants to suggest another name like Trash City or Weirdo City, any strange names, just feel free to comment. It's not going to be fixed. So here we are. I think that's all we can do now. So what we need to do now is just get into it. Here we are. We're on the map. I've edited out the load sequence, so if the video suddenly skipped and it's confused anyone who's played the game, that's the reason why. So we're now on the map. First thing you need to do is press the space bar, pause the game. You need to pause the game for 2 reasons. One, that the moment you build any road or anything here, that you will start paying maintenance costs on the roads, and you certainly don't have enough money to do that. The second reason is this is City Skylines After Dark, so the clock, the little sun down here in the bottom left hand corner, will keep moving round, and building in the dark can be done. Certain things, in fact there are some advantages of building in the dark, as you will see and I will point out as we go along, but at the same time it can be interesting when you're doing this initial layout. So what you want to do is pause the game so you've got time to think and have a look round and do stuff. Now as you can see at the moment everything down the bottom is greyed out, so the second thing you need to do is just click on this road, build a very short distance, and then get your friend, the bulldozer. Bulldozer is your friend in this game. Nothing's fixed, nothing's permanent. So that, as you can see now, we've now managed to unlock all the different elements: water, power, electricity. Now first thing you want to do is zoom out, have a look around the map. You can see we've got ships over there, there's a potential port there, another ship there, so we've got 2 ports, but as you can see this map has no rivers on it. So that's going to make life interesting. And if you want a wider view, if you come out here, you can see now a much wider view of the map. Now this centre square, if you've played SimCity, that's not your only area where you're building. What you can do is, as the game progresses, you can buy up to 9 tiles. There is a mod that unlocks 25, but because we're playing the standard game, we'll just be playing on the 9 to start with. Now you can buy the tiles, but you can only buy them across the edges. You can't buy them diagonally. So if you wanted that tile, you've got to go up 1 or this way 1. Now this is just a view, so of to give you an idea that what you're looking for is road connections and the railway coming down here. So that means we're going to have to go up that way as part of the process to do it, to get access to the railways. Now, so we've got our initial square. Now if you look carefully, the yellow represents fertile soil, trees obviously represent forestry, which is your industry specializations. You can see these slightly shaded areas, probably just up there, which represents the presence of ore or oil. So we've got trees and stuff there, and I've got an idea for this area. So now it's time to think about how, planning the city. Now, the important thing to remember is that because we're playing with a starting thing, we're going to build the city from scratch. You're not using unlimited money. This initial city is going to be like, the way to imagine it is a small village where everything is very compact and tight and gridded. So that's what we're going to go for. At the same time, is the important thing to remember is that we're going to probably build residential this side. Well, definitely going to build residential this side, a bit of commercial down the centre, and industry this way. Now, what you never want to have your residential between commercial and industry, not in the early stage of the game. There are ways around it in the future, but industry sends trucks to deliver to commercial, so you don't want your trucks going through your residential area for traffic. So a good starting premise is industry, commercial, residential, or we can go the opposite way, industry, commercial, residential. Now again, it can all be moved later on. So what we're going to start now, I am going to start with my it's a way I like to build. It's something that you can almost say it would be if I had to come up with a trademark build, this is what I would do. Now again, this road is your access to the outside world, but don't let it define the layout of your city. Now I'm thinking coming down this way, aiming for a point there, so I'm kind of thinking we're going to build here. Now I'm going to do, this is going to have a little bit of construction to it, and I use the dirt roads to construction, and partly because it's easy to do the calculations in the sense that 240, the dirt roads cost 20 credits per unit. Now you can use these for building, purely and simply because when you delete them, you can actually get some money back, so it's not a total loss when you do a construction. And you can see we've now got, if I zoom out, you can see we've got, probably could have been a bit steeper, but we can live with this. The other thing I like to do is build in a little bit from the top of the map. I don't like to bunch up from at the top of the square, so we're now going to come out 1, 2, count the clicks if you want to do it. Now the reason I construct this, you can build roundabouts freehand if you've got a very steady hand. I like this. Oops. Does it say space already occupied? I'll go with that. Let's say, so we've now got, you'll find that perspective here can be a bit tricky. And what we're going to do now is link up, and a good tip here is if you're going to link up to roundabouts and curved roads is turn off the snapping, because see where it curves? That's because the angle is greater or less than 45 degrees. So if you can do that, and you can see you can get 2 good connections relative there, and you can see this symbol says that my road's back to front. So if you go put it on, select the upgrade tool here, right click, pardon me, you can reverse the direction of the one-way roads. So we've now got our initial roundabout built. Now let's go there, position, and we'll get back onto straight roads. Now as I was saying, this is very much a, so 120, 140, Just gonna put a little notch in. Come out 120. This is going to be another little mini roundabout. So, not sure. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. So we're just going to put this tiny little mini. Whoops. The way the curve tool works, that was a deliberate mistake so I can illustrate the point, is you go out, you click once there, but if you click twice it builds it. So sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful. We've now got a roundabout here. Now we're going to switch to two-way roads. I do like my two-way roads, I must admit. Just as a quick aside, is you've got these roads here, but if you look, they're very expensive. They're 80 simoleons, gold, whatever, ducats, whatever you want to call them, a cell. They're very expensive to maintain. So starting off the game, I like to, you're not going to get a fortune of traffic. You can upgrade the roads. So just do this. That's 5, 6, 7. I think that's... let's go 8. Just going to put a notch there. Come out another 8. Let's just do it this way. 2, 8, another notch. The notching, the reason I'm notching this is that we're going to come up 10, go up 10, down 10. This is a standard width, so if you go 1, 2, 3, so it's like a helpful guide. That's the way to think. Another thing with the gridding is it's not a fixed grid laid over the map. The gridding bases on your orientation, which is a mixed blessing. It's some people you either love it or you hate it. I must admit, I prefer it over a fixed gridding system. Do it. So we're going to go out another one. We might just be able to get, say, this yellow can be a little bit of a. See, you need to keep an eye on the money. What you're doing with laying out your initial roads is try and stay over 50 grand. So that's my initial layout. As I say, it's a tight grid. You can see 4 and 4 all the way round. It means that you will have buildings that will fill this grid completely when it comes out. So we've now got the traffic, the road in place. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to zone something. Now you've got this fill tool. Now it's got its uses, but to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. You've got the marquee tool, which will do it here. But to start with this one, I'm going to start with the brush tool, and what I'm going to do is just put in a little bit like that and a little bit across the corner. Now we're going to unpause the game, but we're going to leave it on slow because I'm going to be having to lay in the pipework. Now if you play on a map with a river, you will see, if I just click the help, you will see these arrows. The bigger the arrow, the stronger the current, as it says here. And it says here that you always put your freshwater supply upstream from your sewage. So you've got to provide freshwater and sewage. Now, this map has no rivers and no real current. So, and your sewage outfall has to be on the coast. But you do have the water tower, so we're going to be building with water towers. I mean, I could put that over there, but based on the short play that I did, is this just starts to spread out, and basically it's pretty obnoxious. And what we're going to do is come up to the edge of the map, just there. Now, I will confess I do like my grid to compromise a little bit on that one. So we've now got water in there. Now we need to put power in. Now again, you've got this coal powered power station. It's a big chunk, a lot of maintenance, and to be honest, starting off, you can get away with wind farm. You will get through them quite quickly to start with. So eventually there will come a point where you will have to use power. As you can see, the dark patches on the map represent strong winds, and the kind of orangey circle represents noise. So you certainly don't want to put these up by your neighbourhood. So we're just going to drop one there. Going to bring the power lines up, and that can connect there. And now we've got a little bit of power running here, water running here. I'm just going to bring the water out here, and we're going to drop. I don't think this produces any. It's got a bit of noise pollution, but we're going to move it eventually. So we now got the city up and running. I don't know why that's. You can see the water. You get these little surges of water here. So we've now got our city up and running. I'm gonna put a little bit of start zoning in this stuff. As I say, you don't need to be too. Get the marquee tool here, and just gonna put a little bit of commercial in the center here for the moment. I will probably move it. So the idea is, if you look on here, as the buildings come, you will see the power spread, and that's partly the idea, to let the power spread across the map. It cuts down on the pylons. So we'll just zone up to here. As I say, this little bit of commercial is just there to keep the connection going. Right, so that's got the industry going. So now we can come across here. We've got demand for industry, so I'm just going to pause the game again because I want to build, and the sun's starting to set. So we're going to come in. I think it was 7, wasn't it? I can be a bit of a symmetry freak. I'll admit to that. I think all of us who like these. What's that? As I say, if you delete, you get a refund of a proportion of what you spent. Just going to go up here. So you don't have to be perfect on this starting off point. So we're just going to get the curved road in. And just delete that little notch. So we've got 28,000 left, which should be enough to keep the thing going. Just can actually clean up those bits there, save a bit of money. Right, so get back to here. Gonna come in one here. I'm gonna come down 1, 2. Maybe is that too big? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna come down 1. This is one-way roads. Gonna come in this way. Nice arbitrary distance. Gonna go up. Let's go up 15. I think that's 1. So we're going to go that way. Click on the upgrade tool and just reverse this direction. What I'm trying to create is a one-way type system, and what we're going to do is I want to get this set up straight away, and I want that road coming in there, that road coming in there, and this can get diluted in here. So the idea is to have a one-way system with the traffic coming in and out there. Now what I'm going to do is, now I want this 2 in, that's it. Now it's a bit difficult to explain. That's it. That will do. Now, but I'll try and demonstrate it once we've so I'm just going to zone this in here. Or now I'm not going to zone onto these main roads, and it'd be easier for me to show it to once the trucks and that start to move in. As you can see, we've got a nice straight pipeline flowing across. Gonna now we're gonna have to come across here, and we're just gonna come down, zoom in a bit here. Just gonna drop the power lines there just to get it going. Let's say the power lines will disappear. Now, night's arriving. Now, this would be a good example to demonstrate why it's easier. Some things are easier to do at night. As you can see, when you actually got an existing grid and you're just lining up to it, the grid lines show up quite nicely. Oops. Again, if you get this situation, with the snapping. Whoops a daisy. Again, we just come here, reverse the direction of the road. Got a little bit of water overflow there. Now, magic number is 440. Now you've got to be a bit careful because there's two 440s. If you look at the numbers, they go up in twos, so you want to go 440, 440, change to 480. See, 480, 440, and if you come across here, you get a nice, really good cover package. So we've now got our first city at night. It's growing quite steadily. Just keep zoning. Actually, I think I'll just zone strip up the centre. I probably should have done that a bit more here. You can see the city's going. The next thing, while it's dark, as I say, you can see the lights. It's quite, especially once you get some good buildings going, it looks good. Now, what we're going to do is we've now got the budget access. First thing you want to do is whack down your water budget, because you've got this thing here. You'll see that it will drop the water capability in this city. If you come down here and look, you can see here it's 120,000 cubic meters per week, and the water towers are half of that. That's more than enough for your cities. Don't worry too much about these little surges. When you change the slider dramatically, you will get this. It's like the game's responding to the trucks. Now what I'm going to do is see if I can zoom in. I need someone to do a delivery. I think we should be connected up. It's probably... see, is that... well, we got a net pickup coming in. Maybe... so I've got a bit of cash. I'm just going to leave it while we get through the dark. I'll speed the game up a bit. There we go. Ah, we got the first trucks coming in. And they're coming straight across the roundabout, but that's okay. The traffic's not that big. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this, if I can see this truck come in. It's coming up here. Right. I've paused the game. Let's see the truck turning in. Let's see that. Now if I unpause it, see, they've all stopped. So if you zone along here, these trucks stopping, you see that green truck's had to stop. Now the yellow truck's had to stop. this will really slow up your traffic. So by not leaving this gap here, it will mean that you won't get any trucks stopping on your main roads. The other advantage is that if the industry stays here, it's a big if, but if it does, you will be able to upgrade these roads to wider roads without disrupting your how can you say, your residents. And it's also with your plonkable buildings, don't put them on roads that you may want to upgrade in the future. So we're just going to zoom in zone in a bit here. Now we're going to start what you could say the proper thing. As I say, I'm just going to zone in here. You'll see the power slowly spreading now. So, and you can get in looking. It looks really good here. See, get some nice views of the thing. Even the little commercial area here. You hear people talk about health and noise. I can't show you the noise, but in this initial part of the game, your city dwellers aren't going to complain too much about noise. Now you've got to watch your budget here, because this will go down very quick. You can see we're already consuming 5 out of 8, so it's probably, you'll find that you will go through these wind turbines very, very quickly. So, and it's nothing worse than getting the message telling you that you're running out of power. Now you can adjust it. If you come here, if you bump it to, I think it's 110, 111%. And I think if you come down to here now the top power consumption for one of these wind turbines is 8. If you look here, I think, where is it? Come here, it says 0 to 8. If you increase it by 10, you get an extra 1 megawatt. Right, we've got the daylight coming. I'm just gonna, and here we are. We've reached the first little hamlet. Got a population of 420. We're underway. We've got our elementary school, landfill, and medical clinic. So we've got new services, garbage, healthcare, education, taxes, and loans. Now, so the first thing you want to do is pause the game and get to taxes and push them up to 11%. You can go to 12, but I prefer 11 to start with. If you get much higher than 12, you'll find that people will start complaining. That brings your revenue upstream up a bit. Another annoying factor with the thing is the fact that the game always drops down to slow speed. Now, I'm just going to pause the game again. Now, this is the reason for this roundabout. I'm going to build up here. This is where the garbage is going. Don't put it tight to the roundabout, because I'm going to upgrade it. I'm going to move it, keep it away. Now, if you get your garbage placed in a good position, starting position, these guys can cover a lot of the city. Just clear out these ones to stop them running around. These guys can cover a very large area in the nature of what they do. So what we're going to do now is actually, I want to put a medical clinic in, and then what I'm going to do is quite literally plonk it on the poor old commercial guys there, because they're going to get moved, dezoned and moved anyway, which I'm just going to do now, because I don't really want them here. And we'll rezone that as, actually we'll just rezone all that through as residential. The industrials building, you can see the pollution building up already, so you certainly don't want this stuff anywhere near your... No, so we're going to have to extend this a bit. It's going to extend a long way there, so it's not a problem. they can be a bit, and just trim these notches off the top for the moment. Notches can be quite useful as they provide turning points for traffic. And we'll just zoom in again, and sorry about this, and we're just gonna zoom, and we're just zooming. I mean, that should be more than enough to be keeping these guys busy. Now this is generic industry. You can see the water's dropped because of the thing, so of course I reduced the budget, so we go here. A quick pointer with this day-night cycles, you can see after dark, this is different to the original game in the fact you got 2 sliders. Now I have played with these, and to be honest, in the early stages, early stages of the game, there doesn't seem to be any real benefit in setting these higher or lower. They become far more effective as your city develops. So now we can start. Kind of, I just need to put in. I think we're getting to a point now. Just turn this off, where we can. We think we need to start doing this. I know I could put a road there, but 45-degree angles. If you watch the traffic, it doesn't slow up. If you watch these guys, they slow down a bit. So we can start now giving them the proper roads here, and that can come out, and we can take out this. I'm going to leave this bit here for a reason. Right, so we can now get the click on. I think it was 7, wasn't it? 6, 7. It's 8. I can't remember now. 5, 6, 7. Let's go this way. 1, 2, 3. For anyone who finds this frustrating, there is a mod, a very good mod. I have used it. It's called Precision Engineering, I think. Yep. And it is a very good mod. It actually gives you distances and thing. I have used it, and maybe later on I will do it. Now this is the good time to use the flood. See if you can go in like this. See. So when you get these fiddly areas here, this can be a lot quicker. You can see now. Probably won't build that. Pays to keep an eye on the water. Your pipe flow, magic number 480. That's 440. Come back to here. We're back here. We're back into the night cycle. Now, what I'm going to do is. Oops, let's go down because I've built roads here. Stop annoying me, stop annoying me. We're just going to, as I say, it's going to be slightly unoriginal gridding at the moment. Another good purpose for the flood thing here is, contrary to my recommendations, as you see, we've now got a little bit of industry sparkling along. Commercial's doing well, and what we're going to do is again now is have a second commercial ring. I think this one. Oops, there we are. We've now got Worthy Village, and you can see here we've now got districts, policies, second loan, direct district specializations, service policies, fire department, police department, their forestry and agricultural industrial specializations, power usage, wattage, firehouse and police station. So what I'm going to do is I'll postpone that building. I'm aware that this is getting slightly long, so what I'm going to do is just put one of these buildings in first. Now, the important thing to remember with these is, see the green? That shows you the good distance that these vehicles can travel. Now, if I put it on a one-way road, see how quickly it deteriorates, because it can only go out that way. If I put it this way, you can get the coverage. So what I've found is you really want to put these departments on two ways. You get lots of smiley faces, but for the start with, you can see here that the fire coverage says there, but probably not this episode. I'm just gonna, sorry, apologies. Just get the water in. Sorry about that. You don't need to get paranoid about it, because if a fire breaks out in over here, you will find that the fire service, especially when the traffic's light, so it's probably one of the key points of this game is that you've got to stay on top of your traffic management. You can see I'm going to leave the other elements to the next part, I think, because there's a bit involved and I don't particularly want to talk about it here. And you can see now we've now unlocked noise. I'll just show that. See the noise? You get the water towers throwing out noise. We've got a bit of noise here for some reason, and of course you can see the massive noise for commercial, which is the reason why it's over here. You can see the traffic moving around slowly and the pollution here. So these are very useful things. You can see the garbage coverage. Education. You may have noticed that I've not put an educational building down. What I tend to do is I don't build anything till I've got the high school. Not because I don't want uneducated workers. It's the fact that, oops, we're running out of power again. Always something to do in City Skylines, and this comes down to why I was saying that you've got to keep your budget up a bit. You want to keep at least 10,000 in this thing, 8, say maybe down to about 8 floating all the time, so you can drop in a power supply if necessary. See all the new residents coming in. So again, and it's quite interesting. I don't know if I can click on one. They actually arrive with a job, and what you can do is actually follow them. So you can do this, and you can actually name them as well. So you can call this. There we are. Stephen Silverbeard. There we are. So I now live in the city, and where am I going to just jazz up a bit? And so I live in there. So we can call this. Oops, can't even spell my own name. Stephen's house. There we are. And I live next to the fire station. So, oops. Oh, forgot to. One of the slightly annoying is you've got to press the return. So that should be it. Yep. So I'm now a resident of the city. So I've probably rambled on enough, bored you guys to tears. Just and so that's where I'm going to leave it. Here we are. So we've got a fire here. Sorry, there's always something to watch in this game. So we're just going to... And here you come. You've got to see this. See what I'm saying? They come right across the city. So according to this, they've not done it, but they should be here in time. There's the little guys out here. Might go into the first... Oops, sorry. Go along and we can... Oops, they've done it. Back in the trucks. And off they go again. Yeah, the first person camera can take a little bit of getting used to. It can be good fun. I'll just give a quick demonstration, sorry. If you click there, you can do this, see? And say... Oh, no, it's obvious this guy's off to Quiet Corner Shop. This guy's doing a delivery. So, and anyway, I've probably held you guys up a lot more than long enough now. So here's the city. We've got a little bit of demand for there, but this is where I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to press the space bar to pause the game while I say thing. So hope you've enjoyed this first episode. It's hopefully develop it. Feel free to comment, ask questions, give opinions. You can see there's a little bit of crime growing there, so we're going to need a police station. So we might need a loan, but that's all for the next part. So until the next part, like and subscribe, and above all, enjoy the gaming, whatever you play.